Hello, fellow Rotarians and guests. I'm Lori Alton, and I'm honored to serve as your club president for the Rotary year 2021-2022. The Rotary Club of Columbus has a storied past, beginning in 1915, when a group of civic-minded people saw the need for leaders to come together to find ways to make our community better. And now, 106 years later, we're a vibrant, strong club that continues to place service above self. Our club is diverse, with members across all sectors of business, government, military, healthcare, education, nonprofit and community service, ministry, and the arts. And we come together each week as friends with a shared purpose of learning how we can be more involved in the things that matter to all of us. And we leave committed to changing our community and changing lives. As Rotarians, we are people of action, and it shows. So welcome back to Rotary. Thank you for being here, and thank you for making a difference in our community. Well, hello and welcome to the October 27th meeting of the Rotary Club of Columbus, and welcome finally to fall. It's so great to get some fall weather. Thank you, Marquette. It's great to see all of you here. For those of you watching online, a warm welcome to you as well. I wanted to begin today's meeting with a quick shout out to Rotarians Amber Clark and Sonia Overton with the Columbus Airport. Did you hear that they just completed a wonderful renovation of the terminal, and last week they celebrated with a party? And if you haven't been to the airport recently, you really need to stop by and take a look. It is spectacular and something that we can all be proud of in this community. So now would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now I'd like to ask Joseph Brannan to bring us today's invocation in accordance with his faith tradition.
Thank you, President Lori. Rotary has a long history of being involved in education. Notably, during the 1946 Rotary Convention, a discussion group assembly was held that formed the basis for the education component of the United Nations UNESCO program. However, it was Rotary's founder, Paul Harris, that set out to make education a priority, requesting that after his death, any memorial gifts be made to the Rotary Foundation specifically to support education. Ironically enough, as a child, Paul Harris was known to pull pranks, play hooky, and was thrown out of 2 schools. It was not until after his graduation, after his grandfather passed, and at the urging of his grandmother and a few teachers along the way, that he buckled down and earned his law degree from the University of Iowa. For that, we are thankful for the teachers in his life and our lives. Will you pray with me? Father, we thank you for gathering us here today. We thank you for the bonds of friendship and fellowship of Rotary. As we hear from the Teacher of the Year, we thank you for all the educators in our lives and our communities. We ask that you continue to give them peace, patience, kindness, and understanding, especially during this time of the continued pandemic. Please bless the children entrusted to their care. Give them the same peace, patience, kindness, and understanding for their teachers as we all work together to move through this time. As always, we thank you for this meal, the hands that prepared it, and ask that we always be mindful of our calling to service above self. It's in Christ's name I pray. Amen. Don't forget the cans.
At this time, Alston Lyle will bring us today's news. Good afternoon, everyone, and here is a look at your headlines. Well, the Atlanta Braves made it to the World Series since 1999. I know! And after a dominant 6-2 performance or win last night over the Astros, the Braves head into tonight's game with a 1-0 lead in the series, and I couldn't be more excited. It also seems that Santa may be coming early this year, and I don't know about you, but I usually wait until Halloween and Thanksgiving to even start thinking about Christmas shopping, but logistics experts are suggesting you begin your shopping now.
With clogged ports and overextended trucking industry and labor shortages, the industry is anticipating more delays than ever around the holiday season. So don't get upset if you come on time. In local news, the Muskogee County School District has altered its quarantine policy. In response to dropping COVID cases week over week, the Muskogee County School District has revised its quarantining protocols. Effective today, students will no longer be required to quarantine from in-person classes if they were within close contact to someone who tests positive for COVID, so long as the interaction happened in a classroom setting and all parties involved were wearing a mask. This change does not apply to employees. So the Dow Jones was down 3 points at noon today, and your weather forecast is a beautiful sunny with a high of 75 and a low of 51. I want to end with this. If you're like me, you find the national days kind of intriguing. There's a day for everything. And today happens to be National Black Cat Day and National American Beer Day. One is probably more exciting to more people in the room than the other. But if you have a black cat, throw it a party. And with this beautiful weather, golfers have no excuse not to get on the course and celebrate with a cold one. Have a good one.
Now it's my pleasure to call on Sallie Hadden to introduce today's visiting Rotarians and guests.
Good afternoon. We have a great group of visitors today, and I'm delighted to introduce them. So if you want to raise your hand, stand up a little bit so we can recognize you, and we'll save our applause until the end. Catherine Fields is from Griffin. She's a Griffin Club Rotarian. She's here for a special presentation later. Ken Townsend, who is the father of Tyler, but he's here today from the North Columbus Club as a GRSP trustee. And Maki Piedrahita from the North Columbus Club, she's the GRSP student. We have some guests. Judy Thomas is her brother, David Williams. Ian Bond has several guests, Natalie Wright, and Natalie's children, Brad Wright and Ashley Sherman. And Juan Osorio has Mark Strunk as his guest. And Tyler Townsend has Angelica Roswadowski as his guest. So please join me in a warm Rotary welcome for all our visitors and guests.
So one of our greatest honors each week is to welcome a military guest. And so it's my pleasure to call on Donna Morgan to introduce today's Colonel Ralph Puckett Jr., Soldier of the Week.
Good afternoon. Thank you, President Lori. Hello, fellow Rotarians, guests, and visitors. It is my pleasure today to introduce the Ralph Puckett Jr. Soldier of the Week, Sergeant First Class Tommy Church. He is a man of few words. I'm a person of many, but we've agreed we'll be concise, Julie. So, Sergeant First Class Tommy Church serves as the 19 Delta Career Management NCO for the Office of the Chief of Armor. He has had multiple deployments, Iraqi Freedom twice, Operation Enduring Freedom. He has attended multiple military schools in his career. He's nearer to retirement than not, so he's attended a lot of courses on his career progression. He has received many awards, most notably the Combat Action Badge, and many other medals and awards for commendation, achievement, valor, conduct, and his overseas campaigns. So a couple of things about Sergeant First Class Church that were interesting. He has 9 children, and we have been infatuated with that at our table, and they range in age from 2 months to 22 years, and he's great advice. I think he's giving us good parent advice, and we shared our bad parent advice. One of his favorite tours was in the beautiful state of Alaska. He really enjoyed seeing that. He's from South Carolina and doesn't get that weather normally. And he does retire in a few years. He lives in Fort Mitchell, and his in-laws have moved here and help with those children. And so he's going to retire and be involved in their lives. And he's going back to school. He's in school now taking courses, and he's working on his next step. For you, by the way, thank you for being here. We have some guests for you, so we know what you know what to do with your military coin. So I'd love to unclip that and give that to you. We have a book that has been inscribed for you. It's Words for Warriors, and it's written by Colonel Ralph Puckett, and you can learn more about him. And this was commemorated by, it was given to you by Edgar Chancellor in memory of his father, Major James Edgar Chancellor Jr. So you have this book to enjoy. There's a certificate for being the Soldier of the Week inside this envelope. And then we have the passport for the arts. If you can, get those in-laws to babysit, and you and the guest of your choice, quite possibly and deservedly your wife, have tickets for two to go to the River Center, to go to the Symphony Orchestra, the National Infantry Museum, to the Columbus State Theater Department, and to the Springer Opera House. So we would, there's information on how to claim those tickets and go out on multiple date nights. We welcome you. We're glad to have you here, and it's a pleasure to meet you. Thank you. Change your mind? Nope. And he has declined the comment.
Sergeant First Class Church, what an honor to have you here, and please take back our gratitude to all the men and women who serve alongside you at Fort Benning, and we would love to have you join us again soon. Thank you. So at this time, we have a special presentation. I'm truly honored to ask Ian Bond, who is our Georgia Rotary Student Program District Chair, to introduce some very special guests who are here to receive a major donor award to the GRSP Foundation.
Thank you, President Laurie and fellow Rotarians. This is a great day for the Rotary Club of Columbus and for the Georgia Rotary Student Program. And we're delighted to have Natalie Wright with us today, and also Ashley and Brad. And if you think Brad looks a little bit like Tony, you'll be absolutely right. We just need to put a little bit of gray on his beard. And every time I see Brad, I needle him about when you're going to join Rotary, and we tell him that chair right there next to Dr. Cross, that's your dad's chair. We're keeping it warm for you. I'm also joined, of course, by Catherine Fields, who's the GRSP Marketing and Development Director, Ken Townsend, our trustee, and two awesome GRSP students, Hayley Hadden and Macarena Piedrahita. Tony was a much-loved member of our club, but his service to GRSP as a host and as an extraordinary trustee made his legacy to GRSP across the state truly legendary. He has made a lasting impact. And because of Tony's passion for GRSP, especially the students, the Wright family have made a very generous contribution in Tony's memory to the GRSP Foundation, which admits Tony posthumously to the inaugural class of the Jim Brim Fellowship. And I'm going to ask Catherine just to come and explain what that means, and then Haysha will make the award.
So Jim Brim is a former GRSP leader who served as our vice chair, and he was a member of the Pelham organization. So I one day was operating fast, and I said the Jim Beam Society. It's the Jim Brim. So, but my boss said that we might get more members if I called it that. So it is the Jim Brim. And with that, I'm going to pin Natalie, and also just to let you know, as Rotarians, we dedicated our Peace Plaza, and a donation was made in Tony's name, so his name will go down in history with GRSP, and we're so thankful for that donation.
We can close up just a little bit for the photo. We get these instructions from Jim Corform, even if Julie's the photographer. Thank you so much. Thank
you. Natalie, I just want to kind of echo the sentiments here that you and your sweet family are so important to Rotary, and we appreciate all that you've done for GRSP. You can see the difference. When you look at Haysha and Maki, you can see that's exactly why you do it. So thank you all.
Thank you that we can keep giving to such a good program.
Absolutely. Y'all need to come back and visit more often, because we like for you to be here. And now I would like to ask Stephanie Payne if she would bring us some information on the Dan Reed Award.
Hello, so it's about that time for people to start sending in nominations for the Dan Reed Award. For those of you, as a reminder, the Dan Reed Award is awarded to a non-Rotarian every year for someone who exemplifies Rotary's service above self. So if you have someone in mind or start thinking about someone who would be deserving of this award, please reach out to the Rotary office for the form, and they will also be sent out again via email. So start thinking about that so we can award a deserving person this year. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie. So now it's time for our weekly Rotary Football recap. I'm going to ask Jean Kemp and Hayley Tillery to come forward, and it looks like there may be a straggler following them.
Hey everyone, good afternoon. You know, I was thinking last night watching a very important game with the Braves, we might have to bring Rotary baseball to the table, but we'll wait on that. It was a great game though. Just the games that we have coming up this week, before I tell you that, we need to do a round of applause because of last week, we have now raised $10,122 to the Rotary Foundation. So we hit that, is amazing. All right, so games this week: Georgia versus Florida, Auburn versus Ole Miss, Georgia Tech versus Virginia Tech, Vanderbilt versus Missouri, Kentucky versus Mississippi State, Clemson versus Florida State. He has a little bit he's going to say about the Citadel versus Mercer. So these are some of the big games coming up.
I believe that is going to be the game of the week, but we're going to see. First of all, the Citadel is a landmark institution in Charleston and South Carolina, noted for its educational reputation as well as its rich history. Founded in 1842, the Citadel has an undergraduate student body of about 2,300 students who make up the South Carolina Corps Cadets. We have another 1,000 students who attend the graduate college, a civilian evening and online programs. We didn't have all that when I was there. We didn't have all that when I was there. The Citadel is best known for its Corps Cadets, which draw students from 45 states and a dozen communities. The men and women of the Corps live and study under a classical military system that makes leadership and character development an essential part of the. And the reason I'm telling you all that is we're 2-5 this year in football, so I needed a little filler there to go with it. But anyway, in the past, I can't talk about the past. We did in 2018. We were playing number 1 Alabama, and at halftime we were tied 10-10. That was only halftime, and they did come back and beat us, but at halftime we were there. In 2015, the Citadel beat University of South Carolina, which we were very happy for that too. That was 38-35. And in 2019, and I know some of y'all here remember this, the Citadel beat Georgia Tech. Let me repeat that. The Citadel beat Georgia Tech, and that was 27-24. But we're looking for a real good year. It's certainly hard to say anything negative about Mercer. It's a fine institution, and we're proud to welcome them down to Charleston this week, and we're going to see what happens. And as long as you don't ask for any help from above, I think we're going to beat y'all 17-14.
Gene, it's an omen. We've got Sergeant First Class Church, who is in the military, and so we know that a Baptist school is going to meet the military this weekend. So it's an omen that you're here. And he's got 9 kids to carry on his name, and Mercer is going to win. But I don't like to make predictions, though. I really don't. Mercer is 5-2. I will mention that. And I will mention that earlier in the year, one of those losses was to Alabama, but we led by 14 points for the first part of the game. So Saban didn't like that very much. Only thing I want to tell you is we have a school for the prayers. We have a medical school for our opponents. So thank you very much.
Rarely accurate, but always entertaining. So joining me today at the head table is Joseph Brannan, who brought us today's invocation, and now it's my pleasure to ask Marquette McKnight to introduce today's speaker.
Thank you, President Lori. And it is my pleasure to represent the Muskogee Educational Excellence Foundation, formerly known as MEEF, which makes it a lot easier to say, in bringing to you our speaker for today, our 2021 Teacher of the Year. And I want to tell you a little bit about what MEEF does in recognizing and rewarding exceptional teachers in Muskogee County, and more about what Lisa Seegar is as our Teacher of the Year. Lisa is a homegrown teacher. She grew up in Columbus, graduated from Jordan Vocational High School. I hate that Judy Thomas is not here to bring in Judy is here. Okay, good. Judy is here to bring in the rah-rah for JVHS. And she is also a graduate of Columbus State University, and she is definitely what we would call a homegrown teacher. She has taught a variety of grades and subjects in the Muskogee County School District, and right now teaches 5th grade science at Britt David Magnet Academy. As most of you know, our was put on hold in 2020 with the beginning of the pandemic. So our Teacher of the Year honorees, all 56 of them that we honor from MEEF, served for 2 years. And we were not allowed, the last thing that we do with this rigorous application process of the year, it's a very, very difficult application process, and then you go through interviews, and eventually you make it to an observation in your classroom. Well, obviously, when the pandemic closed down schools, we were not able to get into the classrooms. But we were, as we regrouped this past spring and did our Teacher of the Year Gala, where Lisa was named our Teacher of the Year, we actually got to go in very limited amounts of people, go into those classrooms and see teachers teaching in what we referred to as a pandemic classroom. And I can tell you, I have never witnessed anything harder to watch, observe, much less do, than teaching online classes currently with some kids in your classroom. It seems insurmountable. It seems like something out of a foreign time that we would never be able to imagine doing. And yet all these teachers did it every day and did it with seeming ease. And the students that they were teaching were clearly learning. Lisa's classroom was just like that. When we walked into that classroom, her kids were engaged. They were excited about what they were learning. Like all exceptional teachers, Lisa is a storyteller, and she tells her stories through the stories of success and achievement and learning through her students. There are many, Lisa's application to be a science and math person, she tells a brilliant, she writes very eloquently and tells brilliant stories about her students, and she considers her profession to be the finest profession that you will ever witness in the world. I am so grateful on behalf of this community to have teachers like Lisa Seegar who teach our children, who do the really, really hard work of making them into be great citizens for our community and our state and our country. And it is my honor to introduce you to an amazing, incredible teacher, Lisa Seegar, our MCSD 2021 Teacher of the Year.
This is the moment, let it begin. This could change everything. Can you feel it now? Something's in the air. This could change everything.
All right, it is my personal belief that every one of us should have a walk-up song, right? Baseball players have them, and I think it is an excellent idea. It pumps the player up as they walk up for their at-bat, and if, when it is their time to shine, the song puts them in the frame of mind to hit a home run, much like Soler did last night, right? Hello, my name is Lisa Seegar, and I am a public school teacher who must hit home runs every single day. A second ago, you just listened to my walk-up song, "This Could Change Everything" by Francesca Battistelli. I listen to this song every single morning on my drive to Britt David Elementary School. My favorite lyrics are, "See the world in Technicolor. Be the one who paints outside the numbers. Like a child who is lost in wonder, I don't want to lose it. I'm taking it in. This could change everything. Let it begin." This incredible song reminds me each day of the transformative power that I and my fellow educators possess. You know, our society is in love with this idea of transformation. When I drive home from Britt David each day, I see a huge billboard with the words "transform" written up at the top, and it's a advertisement, I think, for plastic surgery. A lot of you have heard, how many of you have heard, fell in love with Chip and Joanna Gaines and their show Fixer Upper? That's a fantastic show. It takes homes that are outdated and oftentimes ugly and transforms them into these beautiful living spaces. I think we love the idea of transformation because it's exciting. It reminds us that each day is filled with so many possibilities to make our life and our world a better place. As an educator, I'm in love with the idea of transformation as well. And the awesome thing is, I get to create and witness transformation firsthand throughout my career. Classroom transformation is actually a phrase that's trending in education right now, and I love to do them. I love to surprise my students. Magic in our classroom with classroom transformations. The energy in the classroom when the students come in and a transformation is underway is just palpable. You can feel the energy in the classroom. And I have found that it's the perfect way to create engagement when we're learning a particularly hard or boring topic. Throughout the year, Room 14 is transformed into all kinds of places for my students. As you can see over here, one of my favorite transformations is to transform the room into the island of Hawaii. We do that when we're learning about volcanoes and earthquakes, and we have a great time when the room's transformed like that. My second favorite transformation is actually happening this Friday, and it is our Fear Factor Halloween style transformation. Friday is going to be absolutely nuts in elementary school because they're all going to come in their costumes. So I'm just going to meet crazy with crazy, and we're going to have an amazing time reviewing content with the room that's all glowed up and spooky, and it's going to be fun times. And then the last transformation I wanted to share with you was the Jungle Treasure transformation. It was such a simple one. It was my very first transformation, but I will remember this transformation forever. One of my very challenging students walked by and looked in, and his eyes got huge. And then he started snatching these fourth grade kids as they walked by and kind of shoving them in the doorway. And he said, look at that boy. My teacher loves us. I can't wait for today. And on that day, I realized the power that adding butcher paper, vines, and leaves could have to transform the educational experiences offered in my classroom. Not only do teachers have the opportunity to transform their classrooms and to engage in spaces for learning, we have the opportunity to transform the lives of the students we teach. And this is where we hit our home runs. I would love to share a few of my home run stories with you. Who in here has ever read the fantastic book, The Best Christmas Pageant Ever? Has anybody? Oh my gosh, it is fantastic. It's the story of these just rowdy, foul-mouthed kids who go to the local church and bully all the church members' kids into not trying out for the church nativity so that this family, the Herdmans, can get a spot in the church nativity. So it works out that none of the church kids decide to try out, and the Herdmans are what the church has to work with to put on this year's nativity. These rowdy children, these dirty children, wind up teaching this community so much about the power of love. And this summer, I had a similar experience at the Muskogee County School District Summer Learning Experience. That was such an amazing opportunity for our students. We were able to fill in some of the gaps that occurred as a result of learning during a pandemic. And the first 2 weeks of my experience there were absolutely heaven. I had 12 of the sweetest, most emotionally regulated students I had ever met. They bought into the theme, hook, line, and sinker, and we would sit around our little pretend campfire. They would sing camp songs at the top of their lungs, and we just had the best time each day. So my site supervisor emailed and said, we need to fill in some of the spots. I'm going to bring some more children into your room. And my heart, I was just so happy. I was like, oh, some more little darlings to love. So that next Monday, I was in my room getting ready, and I am nowhere near, the classroom was nowhere near the exterior doors of the building, but I heard the exterior doors fling open and a ruckus in the hallway, and I hear an adult, we don't come into school building like that. Pull up here, everybody. And about 5 of the loudest, dirtiest kids we had ever seen walked into the building. And I just had a feeling that one of them was going to belong to me. It turns out I was right. He came and he sat down outside of my classroom, and we're just going to call him Ralph. Okay? Ralph's first words to his classmates went something like this: "Hey, I was the most popular kid at my school." And one of my sweet little girls looked at him and was like, "Wow. Why would you say that?" He was like, "Shut up." And then he looks at another little boy who had a heart of gold, long, beautiful braided hair, and begins to ask, "Are you a boy or a girl?" So I rushed out the door to rescue my students and invited them in, told him I was glad he was here. "Come on into our classroom." Well, he walked into the classroom just about as rambunctiously as he had entered the school. When he walked in, he tripped over the grass carpet. Our pretend campfire went flying everywhere, and the students were just kind of unnerved by his presence. The next few hours of that morning were tough, and to be honest with you, I was counting down the minutes to recess, because I thought, when recess comes, you know what, I'll get a chance to kind of collect myself, and he can run some of that energy out, and it'll be great when we go back in the classroom. Y'all, the entire time, he was climbing the fence, climbing the slide, wanting to jump off. He was doing anything he could think of to break that precious little neck of his. And so I didn't have a time to talk to my friends. The only really comment I remember, other than, "Ralph, get down, Ralph, stop, no, we don't climb that way," was when a teacher friend looked at me and she laughed and she said, "Remember how calm your classroom was last week?" Yeah. I smiled then, because I knew that Ralph needed me to love him in spite of himself. All I needed to do to help Ralph was teach him some tools of self-regulation. Multiple times throughout the days and weeks ahead, when an inappropriate behavior reared its ugly head, I took the time to talk with him. Instead of sitting in timeout or taking away his recess, I spent time teaching him the appropriate ways to interact with peers and how to build meaningful relationships. I spent time eating lunch with him, playing learning games with him, and listening to him as he explained to me that he was a product of our foster care system, and he had just been adopted within this school year. I wish I could tell you that Ralph learned his multiplication facts 0 to 12, or that he would be Eagle Ridge's next student of the month this year, but none of that is really true. What I can tell you is that Ralph walked out of the summer learning experience with new friends and the ability to regulate his emotions so much better than he had before. And I just can't think but help what he and I could have accomplished together if we had had a whole year. Time is a gift teachers receive every single year. For 180 days, we get the time to connect, inspire, and transform the lives we encounter. Throughout my 20 years in the classroom, I've seen the transformation. I've seen the transformation that can occur in the lives of our students, and I've seen that it has the power to transform our community. About a year ago, I was driving home and stopped at McDonald's to pick up dinner on the way home, and kind of absentmindedly handed the girl at the window my card, and she screamed, and I turned to look to see what was wrong, and I recognized it was a student of mine, Taylor, that I had taught so many years ago at Midland Middle School. For 180 days, I tried so desperately to make a connection with Taylor. She came in every day, rolling her eyes, just sick and tired of, coming to school, walking into my classroom. She didn't think the games or the songs or any of that was any fun, and I just didn't think I had made a connection with her at all. So when she reacted that way to me at the McDonald's drive-thru, I could not believe it. Taylor went on to tell me that she had enrolled in CSU and was getting a degree in mathematics education, and my heart just swelled with pride for her. I will remember the next few minutes in that drive-thru for the rest of my life. She went on to tell me that she wanted to be a 7th grade math teacher like I had been for her. She wanted to make a difference in somebody's life like I had hers. She said, "Miss Seegar, each day you walked in with love in your heart and a smile on your face for me. And at that time in my life, I didn't know how to receive that. And I'm so grateful you came to McDonald's today so I could tell you what you mean to me." About 12 years ago, I taught a student named Candace. She was a cancer survivor. That's a picture of her up there. We were at her cancer survivor party, and she was a student in my 7th grade math class, and the chemotherapy that had saved her life as a little girl had taken most of her ability to hear. So you can imagine, as a 7th grade student who desperately wants to fit in and be like all of the other girls in her class, she was anxious at the thought of being different. And so at least 2 days a week, Candace would come into math class in tears, just dealing with her anxiety. And I knew she was never going to learn math if we didn't get that anxiety under control. So we started having daily conversations about self-worth and self-confidence. And I really believe I worked just as hard that year teaching Candace about self-confidence and self-worth as I did teaching her math. Not a year has gone by that Candace hasn't reached out to me and thanked me for what I've meant to her over the years. And the impact I've had in her life. She just turned 24. She graduated with a master's degree from CSU, and she is now the guidance counselor at Forest Road Elementary School because she knows firsthand the impact educators have in the lives of their students, and she wants to be a part of this very important work. Each day, teachers fill classrooms all across America teaching curriculum, but more importantly, they're teaching students who are all in the process of writing their life story. Some of those students are filling in some of the darkest pages of their lives, while others are writing a complete fairy tale. As we teach, we provide opportunities for learning. We love them, we show them how to love others and how to love themselves. Educators understand what Kim Bearden so eloquently stated, that our days are filled with divine appointments. Moments where we have opportunities to communicate with others in ways that uplift them, validate them, and soothe their souls. Teachers recognize these appointments and maximize them, making this world a better place. The most beautiful part of these stories is that Taylor and Candace will soon have hundreds of success stories of their own. The amazing thing about the power of a teacher is uplifting students in that classroom just doesn't benefit that one single student. A teacher's influence can benefit the student's family, the students' friends, their neighbors. A teacher's impact from one positive student relationship can reach hundreds or thousands. Education truly has the power to transform our society, and it is happening every day in classrooms all across the United States. My deepest desire in speaking with you today is that you walk away understanding the important role public education plays in transforming communities and building our nation. It happens one student-teacher relationship at a time. Teachers are the cornerstone of this important work, and we must make sure that they have the support needed to do their job effectively. One of the best ways to support teachers in Muskogee County is to partner with the Muskogee Educational Excellence Foundation. This amazing group of people understands that building professional capital in the teachers of our school district is the most effective way to transform education in our community. MEEF provides world-class, life-changing professional development at Harvard University to teachers right here in our school district. I see so many of you here today that have partnered with MEEF, and I would like to take this time to tell you thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. If you have yet to partner with MEEF, please consider hitting a home run today and investing in the future of our community. Our students deserve the very best we have to offer, so it is imperative to make sure the ones holding our children, our teachers, are equipped to give them the very best. Your partnership with MEEF will allow MEEF to transform even more lives, and that could change everything.
Wow, Marquette, that was fantastic. It was absolutely fantastic. And Miss Seegar, I feel like I have to say that. What do your kids call you? Miss Seegar, okay. Sometimes it's Miss Lisa, but Miss Seegar, you are incredible. And I know that you would tell me that you're not that special. There are many others doing what you're doing, but something tells me she's pretty special. So thank you. And as a token, you don't know this, as a token of our appreciation, we actually will place a children's book in the public library with your name on it. I know, isn't that the coolest thing? So wonderful. So I want to remind you that a replay of this amazing program will be on our Facebook page, and then also a YouTube link will be sent out. I think I may have to watch it again. I would also like to re-welcome all of our visiting Rotarians and our special guests today. Thank you all for being here. Special welcome, Sergeant First Class Church. Thank you for being here. And you won't want to miss next week's program, where we will have Mary Sherman with the Columbus, Georgia Sports Council. So until we meet next week, let's continue to join Miss Seegar and make a difference. That was awesome.